When the ATMs go dark and your credit cards become worthless plastic, what will you trade for food, for water, for safety? Here's the brutal truth that preppers don't want you to know. History proves that when systems fail, it's not gold bars or bunker supplies that keep people alive. It's the small, cheap items you can buy at the dollar store today. In this video, I'm revealing 15 everyday items that cost pennies now, but will trade like currency when the world stops running on money. These aren't just survival tips. This is the blueprint for becoming the most valuable person in your community when everything falls apart. Stick around until the end because item number 15 has historically been worth more than gold in every major crisis. Welcome to Prep Pantry, where we turn ordinary people into extraordinary survivors. If you're serious about protecting your family's future, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And if this video helps you think differently about preparedness, show some love with a like. It helps us reach more people who need this information. Now, let's talk about what really happens when society collapses. Throughout history, whenever banking systems crumble, whenever trust in currency evaporates, humanity has always returned to its oldest form of commerce, barter. This isn't some romantic notion from a bygone era. It's a practical, time-tested response to crisis. When logistics collapse and the flow of goods stops, people immediately revert to trading what they need for what they have. But here's what most people get wrong about barter. They think about big-ticket items, generators, guns, massive food supplies. The reality is far different. In a true collapse, it's the small, divisible, and universally useful items that become the backbone of trade. These are the things that solve immediate problems: warmth, light, water, food, comfort, safety. The key to successful barter isn't stockpiling what looks valuable, it's understanding what will actually be in demand when the shelves are empty and the lights go out. And that brings us to our first item. Fire is civilization's oldest tool, and in a crisis, it becomes as valuable as gold itself. We're talking about lighters and waterproof matches. Right now, a pack of disposable lighters costs less than your morning coffee. But when the power grid fails and people are sitting in the cold and dark, unable to cook their food or purify their water, each one of those lighters could be worth 10 times its original price, maybe more. Waterproof matches are even more valuable in wet or humid conditions. Think about it. When was the last time you struggled to start a fire in the rain? Now, imagine that struggle when your family's survival depends on it. The person who can provide fire on demand has real power. Here's a pro tip. Bundle your lighters and matches with cotton balls soaked in petroleum jelly. These create instant fire starting kits that are incredibly easy to light and burn long enough to get even damp wood going. Store everything in vacuum-sealed bags or waterproof tins for maximum longevity. You're not just storing fire starters, you're storing power itself. Modern life has made us incredibly fragile. We've become so accustomed to replacing things that we've forgotten how to repair them. But when you can't simply order new clothes or gear online when stores are empty or closed permanently, the ability to repair becomes a genuine lifeline. That's why sewing kits and needles are pure gold in a collapse scenario. A small tin containing various size needles, strong thread, and a few fabric patches is tiny. It's cheap, and it's timeless. This humble kit can be traded for food, batteries, fuel, or any number of critical supplies. Why? Because clothes wear out, tents rip, backpacks tear, and in a world without Amazon Prime, the person who can fix these things instead of replacing them has a massive advantage. Stock up on needles in various sizes, from fine needles for delicate repairs to heavy-duty upholstery needles for canvas and leather. Get strong thread, the kind used for jeans and outdoor gear. You can even pre-package mini repair kits in small tins or bags, ready to trade at a moment's notice. In a collapsed world, repair skills and supplies become absolutely priceless. If you spend any time in prepper communities, you'll quickly learn that Paracord is practically currency, and there's a very good reason for that. Originally designed for parachutes, this stuff is incredibly strong, lightweight, and compact, but its real value comes from its versatility. Paracord can serve as rope for securing shelter, it can be unraveled into individual strands to use as fishing line, it becomes a makeshift shoelace, a tourniquet in medical emergencies, a clothesline, a pulley system, or tie-downs for transporting gear. The applications are virtually endless.
Buy Paracord in bulk spools and store it in a dry location away from direct sunlight. Properly stored, Paracord lasts for decades without degrading. You can divide it into smaller lengths for trade, making it perfect for barter situations. And don't overlook other types of strong cordage either. Jute twine, nylon rope, and simple clothesline all hold significant value when people need to secure, hang, tie, or build things. The person who controls rope controls movement, shelter, and stability. Never underestimate the power of good cordage. Here's something that might surprise you. When it comes to medical supplies in a collapse, it's not the high-end trauma kits or prescription medications that vanish first. It's the basics. We're talking about bandages, gauze pads, antiseptic ointment, and alcohol wipes. These simple items stop infections, seal wounds, and keep minor injuries from turning into life-threatening problems. Think about how quickly these items disappeared during the early days of the pandemic. Now imagine a true long-term crisis where hospitals are overwhelmed, pharmacies are looted or closed, and supply chains have completely broken down. A simple cut that gets infected could become a death sentence without basic first aid supplies. Bundle your essentials into small Ziploc bags to create instant trade kits. Include a few bandages, some gauze, antiseptic cream, and a handful of alcohol pads. These kits are dirt cheap to assemble now, but they'll be worth their weight in gold when medical care becomes scarce or impossible to access. Health and hygiene are non-negotiable in survival situations. The person who can provide these basics will always find willing traders. Let's talk about one of humanity's most primal fears, darkness. When the lights go out, panic sets in almost immediately. It's hardwired into us. That's why survival candles and emergency wax are such powerful barter items. They're cheap, simple, and endlessly useful. They provide light, a bit of warmth, and perhaps most importantly, comfort in the dark. Survival candles are specifically designed to burn longer than regular candles. They don't spoil over time and they're easy to store in bulk. But don't overlook raw wax either. Wax can be melted down to make new candles. It can waterproof gear, seal containers, lubricate tools, or even serve as an emergency fire starter. Store your candles, wax blocks, and wicks together in airtight containers to keep them clean and dry. In a world where electricity is a distant memory, the ability to provide light becomes both a practical necessity and a psychological lifeline. Light pushes back the darkness, and with it, the fear and despair that darkness brings. Clean water is the ultimate survival need. Humans can go weeks without food, but only days without water. And here's the thing, having water isn't enough. It needs to be safe to drink. That's where water purification tablets and unscented bleach become absolute game changers. These items are incredibly cheap right now. Water purification tablets are lightweight, compact, and have long shelf lives when stored properly. A small bottle of unscented bleach can purify hundreds of gallons of water when used correctly. Together, they solve the universal problem of making questionable water sources drinkable. Store these items in airtight containers away from direct sunlight. Purification tablets can last for years, and sealed bleach can remain effective for over a year, sometimes longer. In a collapsed world where bottled water is either gone or worth a fortune, the ability to make any water source safe becomes a tier bargaining chip. When the taps run dry and rivers become the only water source, purification supplies will be more valuable than gold. Stock up now while they're still cheap and available. Power is everything in the modern world. We've become completely dependent on electricity for communication, information, security, and comfort. That's why small solar panels and portable chargers are such brilliant barter items. They're affordable now, but in a blackout situation, they become like printing your own electricity. Basic USB solar panels can charge phones, allowing people to access downloaded information, use offline apps, or even communicate if any networks remain functional. They can power flashlights, emergency radios, GPS devices, and rechargeable battery systems. Compact solar lanterns and small power stations provide immediate value to anyone who has them. The beauty of solar power is that it's renewable. Unlike batteries that eventually die or fuel that runs out, a solar panel keeps producing power day after day, year after year. In a long-term crisis, sustainable power represents independence and leverage. The person who can charge devices or power essential equipment will never lack for trade opportunities. Here's an item that almost never makes survival lists, but it absolutely should: strong gloves. In a collapse scenario, gloves become daily essentials. Whether you're chopping wood, moving debris, building shelter, scavenging materials, or defending yourself, your hands will take an incredible beating. Without gloves, cuts, blisters, burns, and infections become inevitable. And in a world without modern medicine, a simple infected cut can become life-threatening. Durable gloves protect your most important tools, your hands, from damage. Leather work gloves are excellent for heavy-duty tasks. Nitrile-coated grip gloves provide dexterity while still protecting against cuts and scrapes. Heavy-duty mechanic gloves can handle high temperatures and rough materials. Even simple gardening gloves will trade well because they're better than nothing. The ability to work safely and comfortably gives you a survival advantage.
When you can trade gloves to others, you're not just giving them protection, you're giving them the ability to work productively without injuring themselves. When the world goes dark, visibility becomes a matter of life and death. That's where safety and reflective gear come in. We're talking about reflective vests, glow sticks, reflective armbands, and high visibility strips. Right now, these items are dirt cheap. You can find them at dollar stores, hardware stores, and online for almost nothing. But during a blackout, they'll be worth their weight in gold. Reflective gear helps people find you, follow you, or signal from a distance. It prevents accidents in the dark. It marks safe paths and dangerous areas. It can be seen from far away without requiring batteries or fuel. Glow sticks, meanwhile, can light up rooms, mark trails, calm frightened children, or serve as emergency signals. They're waterproof, last for hours, and require nothing but a quick snap to activate. Store removable or attachable reflective gear for maximum flexibility. Velcro strips, adhesive patches, and clip-on reflectors can be applied to clothing, bags, vehicles, or shelters. In a world without street lights, headlights, or building lights, visibility becomes synonymous with safety, and safety is survival. In a world without power, the written word becomes your backup system for everything. That's why notebooks and pencils are such underrated survival items. They're completely reliable, require no batteries, work in any weather condition, and they never need charging. Think about all the things you'll need to track: barter lists, survival plans, maps, medical information, food inventories, water sources, safe routes, dangerous areas, and contact information. Without functioning phones or computers, you'll need a physical backup for all of this critical data. Pencils are superior to pens in survival situations. They don't dry up, they work in extreme temperatures, they can write on almost any surface, and they can be sharpened endlessly with just a knife. Waterproof notebooks are especially valuable because they'll survive rain, snow, and humidity. Bundle a few pencils with a small notebook to create instant trade packs. Communication, memory, and organization are absolutely critical in chaos. The person who can keep track of information has a significant advantage over those who can't. This next item is often overlooked, but it's actually among the most sought-after barter goods in any disaster: feminine hygiene products. We're talking about pads, tampons, and menstrual cups. These items provide dignity, comfort, and sanitation, things that become incredibly precious when everything else is falling apart. Here's what makes these items so valuable. They're absolutely essential for roughly half the population. They can't be easily improvised, they address a need that doesn't stop just because the world is ending, and they're also surprisingly versatile. Pads can double as bandages, absorbent wipes, or wound dressings in emergency medical situations. Menstrual cups and reusable cloth pads have long-term barter potential because they don't run out like disposable products. But disposable products will still be in extremely high demand, especially in the early stages of a collapse. Store these items for both personal use and trade. Hygiene is non-negotiable in survival situations, and comfort during difficult times is genuinely priceless. The person who can provide these basics will find no shortage of grateful traders. Food is always in demand during any crisis, and fishing provides a quiet, renewable way to obtain protein from any body of water. That's why fishing line and hooks are such excellent barter items. They're tiny, lightweight, easy to store in bulk, and can literally turn any river, lake, or ocean into a meal ticket. But their value extends beyond catching fish. Fishing line can be used to stitch wounds or repair gear. It can tie down shelter components or hang food bags out of reach of animals. It can create snares or tripwires. The applications multiply when you get creative. Store different sizes of hooks to handle various fish species and different line weights for different situations. Store everything dry in sealed bags or containers to prevent rust and tangling. In a world where grocery stores are empty memories, the ability to procure fresh protein becomes genuine survival currency. The person who can feed themselves and others will never go hungry, and they'll never lack for things to trade. Salt. has built empires and started wars. It's preserved civilizations and driven exploration. And in a collapse scenario, it becomes indispensable once again. Salt preserves meat and fish, allowing food to last for weeks or months instead of days. It cures hides for leather making. It balances electrolytes and prevents dangerous cramping. It's essential for human health. Seasoning packets might seem trivial, but they're not. They transform bland survival food into meals that actually taste good. And never underestimate the power of morale. When everything is falling apart, when you're exhausted and scared and uncertain, a meal that actually tastes good can provide a psychological boost that's worth more than its nutritional value. Salt and spices are incredibly cheap right now. They last essentially forever if stored in dry conditions. They're highly divisible for trade. You can portion out tablespoons or cups depending on what's being offered. Start collecting those condiment packets from restaurants. Buy bulk salt and store it in sealed containers. Flavor and preservation are both comfort and necessity. They represent the difference between merely surviving and actually living through the crisis. And now we reach number 15. The item that has proven its worth as crisis currency throughout human history: tobacco and chewing materials.
Before you dismiss this, understand something important. Tobacco isn't just about smoking. Throughout every major disaster, economic collapse, and wartime scenario, tobacco has maintained real trade value. Why? Because it provides comfort and stress relief when stress is at its absolute peak. It's habit forming, which creates consistent demand. It's easy to divide and trade. It stores well for long periods, and perhaps most importantly, even people who don't use tobacco can profit from its barter value. We're not just talking about cigarettes here. Rolling tobacco, rolling papers, herbal chew, nicotine pouches, and even coffee pouches all fall into this category. They're all legal to stockpile, they're all relatively inexpensive, and they all provide that psychological comfort that becomes so powerful during chaos and uncertainty. Think about every war movie you've ever seen. What do soldiers always want? Cigarettes. Think about prison economies. What's always valuable? Tobacco. This isn't speculation. This is historical fact, repeated across cultures and centuries. Comfort and habit become powerful motivators when everything else is stripped away. The person who can provide these stress-relieving items will always find traders, regardless of their own personal use or opinions about tobacco. So now you understand why these 15 items are so powerful. It's not about what looks valuable on the surface. It's about what remains valuable when everything else is gone. It's about understanding human needs at the most basic level: warmth, light, water, food, comfort, and safety. Here's how to build your barter stockpile effectively. Think small and think practical. Focus on items that are cheap and easy to acquire right now, while stores are still open and supplied. Choose things that are compact and easy to store in your home. Look for items that are divisible, meaning you can trade small amounts without giving away your entire supply. And prioritize things that are universally useful in survival scenarios. Storage is critical. Keep your items dry, cool, and sealed to maximize their shelf life. Rotate stock on things like tape and bleach to keep them fresh and effective. Pre-packaged trade kits, mini first aid bundles, fire starting packages, repair kits, so they're ready to trade at a moment's notice. This also prevents you from exposing your entire stockpile when making trades. Diversification is key. Don't put all your resources into one category. Stock items that cover different needs: fire starting supplies, water purification, food procurement, hygiene products, comfort items, and safety gear. The more diverse your stockpile, the more types of trades you can accommodate. Remember this fundamental truth. When the world stops running on cash, the real currency is what people need, not what they remember being valuable. Gold might have historical value, but you can't drink it, eat it, or use it to start a fire. These 15 items may seem mundane right now, but in a crisis, they'll trade like gold because they solve real, immediate problems. Don't wait for disaster to strike before you start preparing. Every day of stability is an opportunity to acquire these items cheaply and easily. Every dollar you spend now on barter supplies could be worth 10 or 100 times that during a crisis. Start building your stockpile today. Think ahead, think practical, and you'll be sitting on the real currency of survival when everyone else is scrambling and desperate. So which of these items surprised you the most? Do you have your own secret barter item that we didn't cover? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts with the Prep Pantry community. The more we learn from each other, the better prepared we'll all be when systems break down. If you found this video valuable, make sure you're subscribed to Prep Pantry and hit that notification bell so you never miss our survival and preparedness content. Give this video a like to help more people discover this information, and share it with anyone who needs to start thinking seriously about their future. In our next video, we're going to cover the biggest mistakes preppers make when stockpiling food, mistakes that could leave your family starving even with a full pantry. You won't want to miss that. Stay prepared, stay smart, and remember, when the system breaks, you'll have what everyone needs. See you in the next one.